The best of Who'd You Rather on The Ellen Show. Ellen puts celebrities on the spot many times using various games. Today we count down the best of Who'd You Rather on the show.
I ask a question and you just say never have I ever or I have.
Most of the time, single celebrities participate in the game to choose an ideal partner. Comment with your favorite fake couple after viewing the video. Make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel. Let's get it going. 10. Trevor Noah. The People's Magazine names the sexiest men every year, and Trevor Noah featured in a special way. He was named Sexy at 34. Trevor is hilarious, and he knows how to make a joke out of every situation. He weighed in on President Obama and joked about how he looked before he went into office, how he looked towards the end of his term, and how he looked a few months after the presidency.
Obviously, I interviewed him when he was in office, and right at the end, and then I saw him a few months later, and I was like, where were you hiding this?
Ellen was happy to play Who'd You Rather with Trevor. The first two beautiful ladies were Rihanna and Taylor Swift. He obviously chose Rihanna because they have the same birthday.
Rihanna, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
We have the exact same birthday.
And what is that?
February 20th.
It would be a happy relationship because he'd never forget her birthday. The next pop-up was Tiffany Haddish, and Trevor switched from Rihanna to Tiffany because he'd eventually get bored of people screaming after Rihanna. Between Tiffany and Khloe Kardashian, Trevor chose Kardashian since he always wanted to be part of their world for a week. He immediately switched to Nicki Minaj when her photo popped up, and she was his final choice. Even after one of the saddest heartbreaks, a girl could still manage to move on and find love again. 9. Lea Michele. Ellen introduced the single Lea Michele, who announced that she was doing okay but would still play the exciting game of matchmaking. She was hoping for a phone number or at least a shout-out from Ellen at the end of the game. The first pair for Michele was John Stamos and Taylor Lautner. She picked Taylor because Stamos was a bit old for her, but it got a bit harder when a picture of Nick Jonas popped up. Nick played her brother, but that didn't stop Lea from picking him over Taylor.
Well, Nick played my brother on the show,
I know,
but it's confusing to me in my head, but I'll go with Nick. Yeah.
The next option was Prince Harry, and it was easy because 99% of girls would love to be real princesses. The following person was Harry Styles, but Michelle still stuck to royalty. Eventually, she gave him up for Michael B. Jordan and stuck with him for a couple of rounds until Calvin Harris popped up and she switched.
I think I'm gonna go with Calvin Harris.
Really? You're over? Okay.
At the end of the game, she was left with Zac Efron, but Lea wouldn't mind if Michael B. Jordan gave her a call. Thanks to Ellen DeGeneres, even those who self-proclaim that they don't know how to date can always get a perfect match. 8. Saoirse Ronan. At 23, Saoirse had never been in a serious relationship because she didn't fancy going on dates. She wouldn't know how to react if someone asked her out for dinner, and Ellen was about to fix that. For Ellen to help, she had to know Saoirse's type so that she could help her. The first two lovely guys were Timothée Chalamet and Colin Farrell. Ronan chose Timmy because Colin was a bit older. The next photo was of Harry Styles, and Ronan stuck with Timmy because she didn't know much about Harry, and he was always on the road. Also, Timmy had less drama. She picked Jamie Dornan over Timmy even though he's married, but Ellen insisted that it was a pretend game and Saoirse wasn't very good at it. Between Jamie and Ed Sheeran, she preferred Ed Sheeran but gave him up when Daniel Radcliffe's photo popped up. But it had to be specifically Harry Potter. Ronan then chose Kendrick Lamar, Drake, Mark Paul, then Zac Efron. Eventually, she ended up with Bruno Mars after stating that the game was taking too long. Spending time as a single person is important because someone can learn more about themselves and what they're looking for in a partner. 7. Demi Lovato. It was time for the beautiful Demi Lovato to pick someone she'd rather do other things with, and the first pair was The Weeknd and Harry Styles. Demi picked Harry, and between Harry and Rihanna, she chose Rihanna. It's tough to compete with Rihanna regardless of whether you're a man or a woman. Demi stuck with Riri for a couple of rounds until Neil Horan popped up, and she gave up Rihanna. It got tricky when she had to choose between Neil and Jesse Williams because one was in her music video and the other was a good friend.
Well, that's not fair because Jesse was in my music video and Niall's a friend of mine.
Demi still picked Neil, but she dumped him for Kristen Stewart. The staff made it harder for her when they made her choose between Kristen and Rihanna, and Lovato's final choice was Rihanna. The next guest on the show probably has more celebrity family friends than anyone else, and she was proud to say it out loud. 6. Kris Jenner. When Kris Jenner appeared on the show, she was just dating, meaning she was open to love, and Ellen wanted to know her taste in men. The first two pictures were of Justin Bieber and Zac Efron. She picked Zac over Justin because Justin was a family friend, and it'd be creepy if she chose him. Between Zac and Chris Hemsworth, she still stuck with Zac. Drake was also a family friend, so Kris again chose Efron and finally chose Bachelor Ben over Zach. Usher's photo popped up, but he was also a family friend. But Ellen insisted that Kris should pick Usher. Ellen realized that almost everyone was Kris Jenner's friend and there'd be no one left to play the game. The next option was David Schwimmer, and Kris Jenner chose him over Usher. The following person was Donald, and yeah, you guessed it, Donald Trump was a family friend. And she still stuck with David for the next rounds until he was the only one left. Well, she enjoyed the game, and at least she didn't have to pick a family friend. Many celebrities easily switch from one person to the next while playing the game of Who'd You Rather, but some make a choice and stick with their option. 5. Heidi Klum. Many people recognize Heidi from America's Got Talent, but she also has other things in life which keep her busy. When she appeared on the show, however, she was single and ready to mingle. Heidi hadn't tried any dating apps, but she told Ellen to do a shout-out for her because she knew a lot of people. Ellen had a better idea. She'd have Heidi play the game Who'd You Rather so she'd understand her preference. She admitted that she played the game with Mel B sometimes, but they called it If You Have To. Hilarious. The first two photos were of Jake Gyllenhaal and Bruno Mars, and Heidi picked Jake. Between Jake and Drake, she preferred Drake and chose him over Chris Rock. Heidi didn't have any eyes for any other men, and she chose Drake over and over. Ellen thought the game was over until a photo of Joaquin Phoenix popped up, and Heidi said that she had a soft spot for Joaquin. He was Klum's choice for the next rounds, and the final men standing. Sometimes rules can be bent depending on the situation, and Ellen had to do a little bending when she invited award-winning actress Dame Judi Dench to her show. 4. Dame Judi Dench. Dame Judi Dench has been on our screens for over 60 years, and her success in acting is recognized worldwide. In the course of her career, she's interacted with many other stars, and Ellen asked Judi Dench her sexiest co-star from a list of at least 10 men.
Who was your sexiest co-star? Is that easy to say or is that difficult?
She chose Johnny Depp before Ellen introduced her to the game Who'd You Rather.
Johnny Depp. The sexiest, really?
Yeah.
Ellen twisted the title to Who'd You Rather Act With, and Dame Judi wasn't impressed. She wanted to go all the way. The first two guys were Brad Pitt and Benedict Cumberbatch, and Judi changed her mind and said they should go back to Who'd You Rather Act With. She'd acted with Benedict before, so she chose Brad Pitt and chose Matthew McConaughey over Hugh Jackman. Between Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Grant, she preferred Jake, and also picked Denzel Washington over Antonio Banderas. The next photos were of Bradley Cooper and Colin Farrell, and Judi Dench chose Colin, and the last choice was George Clooney. Here's a fun fact about Ellen's next guest. She was named after a show when her mother was pregnant in Nigeria, and it was the only American show that got there. 3. Mindy Kaling. Mindy has always been a friend to Ellen, and she appeared on the show a couple of times. When she was single, Ellen had her play the game Who'd You Rather. Her first two choices were Drake and Jake Gyllenhaal. It was a tough choice, but she chose Drake. The next option was Bradley Cooper, and Mindy easily chose him. Between Michael B. Jordan and Bradley, Mindy chose Jordan because he'd make her look youthful. Brad Pitt's photo popped up, and Mindy chose not to compete with the beautiful ex and the children, so she stuck with Michael B. Jordan. He was the ideal option until a picture of Dev Patel popped up. Mindy remembered how Dev looked at the Oscars and immediately made up her mind. Well, some people felt she only chose him because he's Indian, but who wouldn't pick him over Jordan? Sometimes Ellen's staff gets it wrong about celebrities in a relationship because some of them prefer dating in privacy, but that doesn't stop the stars from having a little fun. 2. Charlie Puth. Charlie Puth wasn't single, but he wasn't dating anyone in public. He'd been through enough because dating in public never went well. Ellen opted not to play the game because it'd be unfair to the girl, but Charlie said that she was a calm person, and she'd understand. The first two photos were of Lorde and Demi Lovato. He tried to be smart about the game, but Ellen insisted that he had to answer because he knew the game. Charlie chose Demi because one time she touched his hand and he felt a special connection. Then he chose Nicki Minaj over Demi because he didn't want a mean song written about him. He still preferred Nicki over Emma Stone because he didn't know much about Emma. But he chose Taylor Swift over Nicki. Ellen made it clear that it was the new Taylor and the old one was dead.
Taylor Swift? The new one, the old one's dead.
Charlie, like every other person, didn't think twice about Rihanna, and she was his final choice at the end of the game. Our number one pick for the most interesting Who'd You Rather is when Ellen played the game with the aspiring president Hillary Clinton. I saved the best for last, but first I have a quick challenge that takes only 5 seconds to complete. So if you can leave a like and subscribe within the next 5 seconds, you'll get 10 years of amazing luck. Just try it. It really works. 1. Hillary Clinton. The next game had an interesting twist because Hillary was supposed to pick a vice president in case she got elected. The first two options were Joe Biden and Mark Cuban, and Joe was an easy pick for Hillary. Between Joe Biden and Tony Goldwyn, she picked Tony and stuck with him for the next couple of rounds. It was a tough choice between Tony and George Clooney, but they went with George to make it more interesting. Then it was down to George and Mark Zuckerberg, and she still stuck with George after a little bit of help from the audience members. Hillary chose Leonardo DiCaprio over George and picked Beyonce next because she believed in making lemonades out of lemons. She loved Chewbacca Mom and Steve's sense of humor, but still chose to stick with Beyonce, and Michelle Obama popped up, and Hillary dumped Beyonce. The next option was between Michelle and Ellen would have been the next vice president. Thanks for watching, and have an excellent day.